Today's video is about mastering anxiety, the vital first step towards your healing. And what I'm going to talk about is, first of all, what is anxiety? And I want to talk to what the real source of anxiety is. And finally, I want to give you the first vital step towards healing. And what's inspired this video is a conversation I had with my client this morning. Anxiety is one of her coping mechanisms. And we were talking about it as a symptom rather than a cause, and how she could begin to get herself out of this place. So firstly, what is anxiety? So anxiety is a natural human response to stress or perceived threats. It's a feeling of fear, worry, or unease, and it typically is about something that's happening right now or something that's uncertain. Maybe it's a breakup in a relationship, but there will be anxiety generally tends to be predictive about the future, and about predictions of a perceived outcome. So the anxiety can manifest in lots of different ways and intensities, from kind of a mild nervousness to severe panic attack. So what we're talking to here is more on the kind of lower end of that spectrum. If you are having severe panic attacks, then I would suggest that you seek attention, you seek professional help with that. So when you experience anxiety or stress, your body's sympathetic nervous system becomes activated. Basically, we're going into fight or flight. And when that happens, we start to release the hormones, cortisol and adrenaline into the system. And this is kind of all about how our body prepares us for perceived threats. But often there is no threat except for what we think is going to happen, what we've created. Which brings me to the second part of this: what is the source of your anxiety? And what I would say the source of your anxiety is understanding how the mind works, understanding your thinking. So when you're anxious, your mind, your thinking tends to be really busy, like you're going around in a perpetual spin, around like you've got your foot on the accelerator, going around a roundabout, and everyone's saying to you, take your foot off the accelerator, and you're like, what is going on here? And you're just going around and around in this persistent thinking. Generally, familiar, the thinking pattern is familiar, you're repeating the same thought stream. And so first of all, let's look at what thought is. Thought is a constant, it's basically two cells firing together in your brain, but it's what it produces is just a constant stream of thought. But thought is creative. We're creating our thinking all the time. It's not based on reality. It's not real. It's not permanent. It's not who we are. It's a transient moment, a transient thought moving through at any particular time. And when we understand that we're not our thinking, and that our thinking is created, and that it's not, it doesn't mean anything about our future or who we are, then it loses its importance. Because if we don't engage with the thinking, we don't perpetuate it. Now, you can't you can't change your thinking or stop your thinking, which is the first thing that usually we go to do. But you can't change your thinking or stop your thinking with your thinking, because you're putting the same stuff into the mix. So the same thinking that created it is trying to change it. And as you try and change it, you perpetuate, you make it worse. So it's kind of like, when you say, don't think about sausages, all you can think about is sausages. So try and get rid of that thought from your mind. All you can think about is the thought that you're trying to get rid of. So it grows and it festers and it carries on. And you will see that when you get anxious and these thoughts come into your head, it's familiar, perpetual, it's painful, very, very painful, and it feels very, very real. But every moment passes, and anxiety and your thinking is constantly changing, constantly flowing, and we're creating it. So this is really important to understand, because when we come to kind of looking at what's the first step towards your healing, it's when we understand our thinking, and that we understand that we can't fix our thinking with our thinking or change our thinking with our thinking. What we want to do is come out of our mind. So we want to drop into our body and feel what's going on, feel the sensation. So this is a strategy or a technique to help us to come away from giving the focus to our thinking. Because the more focus we give it, the more we will perpetuate it. So the first step is to drop into our body. And the easiest way to do this is to focus on your breath. Why? Because your breath is always present. You can't have the next breath. You can't have the last breath. You only have the breath that you have now. Your breath is always with you. It's always available to you. And your breath is always moving. Every breath has a beginning and an end. And that's kind of, the breath really is a metaphor for life. So it's a really good thing to learn how to bring your attention to something that's present, like your breath. So there's lots of other things you can do. This is one technique. There's lots of, kind of YouTube clips and different apps that you can use for breath work. But keep it really simple. Bring your attention to your breath and practice doing that. So every time you notice that you're anxious and that your mind is busy, bring your attention to your breath. Take 2 or 3 easy breaths, just like normal, and bring your focus to it. The mind gets busy, come back to the breath. The mind gets busy, come back to the breath. But we want to, so once you've kind of done that, then think about breathing deep into the belly, deep into the bottom of the lungs. So most of us, when we get anxious, we'll just breathe into the top part of the lungs, and we want to breathe into the whole, we want to utilize the whole of our lungs. You breathe into your lungs, your diaphragm, which is at the bottom of the lungs, pushes down, pushes your abdomen out. When you breathe out, the diaphragm comes up, and the stomach goes back in, the abdomen goes back in. So put your hands on your stomach for feedback, and notice when you breathe in that your stomach comes out, and when you breathe out, your stomach collapses. So that will give you feedback to say that you're breathing fully into your lungs. So that's the first thing that you'll do with the breath. The second, after you've brought your focus, and then what you want to do is count. So slow it down. So you could start with a technique like doubling the time that you breathe out. So you could start with breathing in for 2 seconds, or if you find that easy, maybe 3 seconds or 4 seconds. Hold it for a couple of seconds and breathe out for double that time. So 4 seconds or 6 seconds or 8 seconds. So, for example, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 2 seconds, breathe out for 8 seconds. Something good to remember when you're doing seconds and you're counting, count 1,000, 2,000. It slows it down. Otherwise, it's 1, 2, 3. So we say it too quickly. So you could do any variation of that. What I suggested to my client this morning was that she set her alarm for, it could be 3 times a day, morning, lunchtime, or dinner. Or it could be set your alarm for 12 hours every hour. And every hour, just do 4 breaths like that. And what that will do is it will help to establish a pattern of breathing. It'll help you get used to focusing on the breath. And then when you need it, when you get anxious, you can go straight into your breathing to help to calm down the nervous system, to relax the body, and to relax that kind of stress response. So the first step towards healing your breath is bringing your focus to something that's really present, like your breath. If you would like more strategies like this, more tools, or to learn more about my work, comment below, subscribe to my YouTube channel. My website is margaretgeorge.com. I do regular blogs, and you can also sign up to my newsletter. I'd love to hear from you. I love to hear from people. Thank you very much. Bye.